Okay, we are living in truly historic times. We're seeing right now footage coming out of Iran, internet blackout Iran, because the regime is panicking, of
Yeah.
protests happening, a mosque in Tehran ablaze, people burning down government buildings, and the regime, it's being reported, is saying that they are going to basically put the death penalty to people that are protesting against the regime, as you can see being reported. And now Trump is saying that he is prepared to help the people of Iran get their freedom. What does that mean? I'm seeing reports of US military airlift going into the Middle East. Will that mean that the
Yeah.
American military is involved? Well, here to break this all down with us is Yunus Sadagiani, who is a British Iranian podcaster, commentator, activist, brilliant spokesperson. Yunus, thank you so much for joining us today. You must be quite emotional right now.
Thanks for having me, Ollie. I think it's my second time on your podcast. And yes, I mean, look, everything, all the all the domino pieces are in line and they're all falling one by one. So we needed a few different factors for this to happen. And I think it has been brewing for the last 47 years. But I think especially what happened in the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years after Mahsa Amini and then the Israel war and the continuous protests, it led to this point. And we're very lucky to have Donald Trump in office. We're also very lucky to have like someone like Netanyahu. And I think what happened during the 12-day war, the Islamic Republic exposed themselves to be extremely incompetent, extremely weak, like a paper tiger, we say in Farsi. They try to act all tough, and they just got exposed during the 12-day war. They just really got exposed because all their, top IRGC members, all the military sites got hit, and they couldn't really respond. All they could do is shoot rockets at Israel indiscriminately, and barely any of them hit. So I think after that, a lot of people internationally and also locally inside Iran saw that how incompetent they were, and all they can do is to kill their own people. When it comes to it, when it comes to a war with another nation, Israel, for example, they totally fell short. They fell short. They just got a big slap on an international stage.
Yeah. That's actually something that I was thinking to myself. I wondered, but now it's great to hear you validate that. I thought the fact that they failed so miserably in the 12-day war and their nuclear program was so badly scaled back by Israel and
Yeah.
America, I've realized that it probably was a sense of national pride and intimidation for their own people. And so that is probably one of the dominoes that fell that led to this. I'm curious,
Yeah.
what are these scenes that we're seeing? As someone, you're someone that's followed the history of this very closely over the decades, would you say they're quite unprecedented, the level of civil unrest we're seeing?
Yes, it's unprecedented. It is unprecedented because I think, according to the latest information I have, we have like two cities, Abadan and another one. I forgot the name. What was it? It's so funny. You just escaped my mind. But there's two. It's the second biggest city in Iran is under the control of the protesters. The the army, some of the army have defected to the people. Some of the police of these cities have joined the people. So now, when that starts happening, it's like a
They're doing it
whole,
at the risk of their lives, right?
yeah, of course, and
Immense
also,
courage.
you know, yeah, and it takes a lot of courage. But I think also this tweet by Donald Trump, and he's had a few tweets now saying we're locked and loaded and we're going to come for you if you kill protesters. I think that also boosted the
Mm.
confidence of Iranians, because usually what used to happen, because we have internet blackouts now, when the regime cuts off the internet, that's when the massacre starts. And
Mm.
it happened before many times, like they killed thousands of people in a day, actually. So this is the thing. I think Trump and Netanyahu should strike tonight. And I really mean it. Strike tonight or tomorrow. Because when the internet, and according to a latest report I read, 200 people have died in Tehran from last night. 200 people in one night. And that's only in Tehran. We have many other cities, like it's a countrywide protest. It's not just Tehran or Tabriz or whatever. It's all around. And I think I saw a heat map of all the protests. Like literally every single suburb and every single city, there is a protest. So it is unprecedented, and I hope, look, I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful, but something needs to be done. The people can't do it by themselves because these people are barbaric. They really are. They just start shooting people. Yes, it helps that we have the police on our side now. Some of the police, not all. Yes, it helps that we have some of the army or the Artesh, not the IRGC, the Artesh, which means like the regular army. Of course, we have. It's good to have those people on side, but I think we need Israeli and American support to take out strategic targets, and that could be Khamenei, it could be Mojtaba Khamenei, it could be ballistic missiles that they're building, it could be maybe hitting the nuclear sites again just to make sure they don't have it anymore. And look, because the thing is, we want a smooth transition, right? We really want a smooth transition because what could possibly happen, and it probably won't, but if we're not careful, it might. If we don't have a smooth transition, what could possibly happen is that you have the MEK or the Mujahideen, and if you don't know who the Mujahideen are, they're like communist Islamists that live in western Iran, like near the border of Iraq, and they are actually armed, so they can come and try to take over the country. And then you have the Taliban from the other side trying to come and take from the eastern side, and then you have ISIS and all these things. So we have to be very, very careful. That's what I mean when I say we need international support. We actually need like a structured form of leadership, international support to be able to overthrow the Islamic Republic, bring in the opposition. And then when we do that, then, maybe in 1 or 2 or 3 years' time, we can have a referendum of what kind of a government we actually want.
What do you
But for
say
the
to
time,
those
yeah.
who say, well, you can't impose that. If you impose it, it always leads to problems. So we have to let the Iranian people deal with this. What do you say to
Yeah.
that?
I say that, look, there's majority of Iranians now are in the streets and they're screaming for Javid Shah, which is like Crown Prince Pahlavi. And look, I support him. He's not without his flaws. He's a great gentleman. I just think sometimes he could be a bit more bold in his action, but then that's just my opinion, right? Like I don't think anyone's. I love Trump, but I've criticized them in the past. I love Netanyahu, but I've criticized them in the past. I love Nigel Farage, but I've criticized. It's like my job to be nuanced about things. But I think he's the best option we have at this moment in time. And we need the structure because, as I said, if we don't have a structure, that what I explained earlier could happen. We call it tajziya talab in Farsi, a separatist. So Iran could be, because we have different things. We have Turks, we have Afghans, we have Baluch, we have Fars, we have Turks, you have Kurds. Laws that Iran could be divided into 6 or 7 countries, like what happened to
Mm.
Yugoslavia. So we don't want that to happen. We do not want that to happen. And in order for that not to happen, we need a transitional government in which could be led by Shahzada Reza Pahlavi, with the support of Americans, with the support of Israelis, just for the dust to settle. And once the dust settles, people can decide what kind of a leader, what kind of a government they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any sense of why Trump, after on the 12th day of the 12-day war, said to Israel,
Yeah.
stop? Israel wanted to keep going after their ballistic missiles and really cripple the regime and stop, certainly from Israel's perspective, stop them from being able to have this stockpiles of missiles as well as their attempt to get a nuke. Do you have any sense why Trump was saying, Israel stop? Because that's something I kind of disagree with, and I thought it would come back to bite them.
Exactly. No, I agree. I was quite shocked as well. But I think during the 12-day war, there was a few different factors. The first factor was that Iranian people were in shock. Like, people weren't out in the streets like they are now. A lot of people were escaping Tehran and going to the northern parts and stuff like that. So we didn't have the internal uprising back then. So I can understand maybe Trump not wanting to do a regime change.
Yeah.
So, but now we have the uprising. I think what Trump was trying to do to say, look, the Iranian people, as you said, you cannot impose regime change. It needs to come in internally. But when you're dealing with a regime that is barbaric, so we don't want a single boot on the ground, okay? We don't want the experience of Afghanistan. We don't want the experience of Iraq, because that was a huge mistake. So all we're saying is that airstrikes and the people will do the job on the ground, right? And then just bring in a transitional government for a smooth transition, because we want to do this with the least amount of casualties as possible.
Yeah, no, that makes complete
Yeah,
sense. And
yeah.
question, how are the people in Iran gaining when you have these blackouts? How do they get
Mm.
access to information? How do they hear about what Trump's posting on social media? How do they hear about,
Well,
the success of their protests?
yeah. So this is another part of the jigsaw, and that is Elon Musk and Starlink.
Mm,
Some people have managed to get Starlink, but I think in order for you to connect to Starlink, you need a special kit. You need a special
hmm.
box. You need a
Yeah,
bit of hardware. You can't just,
yeah,
it's not just Wi-Fi you can connect to.
yeah.
And I think some people are struggling to get that. I know some
Mm.
people inside Iran that have it already and they've connected to Starlink, but apparently the regime is jamming the signals. Even
Wow.
Starlink doesn't work very well.
Can their
So
phones
now,
work? Like, can they
uh-huh.
make phone calls when they
Not
do these
even sometimes.
blackouts?
They
Wow,
even like, yeah, they even shut that sometimes. You
wow,
can't connect, you can't even call. Yeah. So they should not, it's not just the internet, it's like all forms of communication.
wow,
So yeah, it's insane. And this is what I mean. When the regime does this, that's when the killings start. Because they don't want the message to get out,
wow,
and they
wow.
want to do their dirty work in the dark. Yeah.
What, from your sense of following this very closely and being very connected to it all, how likely do you feel it is that the regime is meeting its end now?
Look, I'm very confident, but as I said, we need a strong opposition. We need bold leadership. We need to be assertive. We need to be strong. Because look, we were asking Iranian people after the 12-day war, why didn't you rise up? Why didn't you rise up? Why didn't you rise up? Well, look at them now. They've risen up. So you ask them to rise up. Now it's your turn to help them. And look, it's in everyone's interest. It's in Israel's interest. It's in America's interest. It's in the region's interest. Can you imagine a country like Iran being opened up and becoming a democracy? And imagine all the investments that could go there and all the business that could be done, and how much more safe the Middle East will be, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
what's happening in the Middle East also affects us in the West, because I was reading a study recently that a lot of the disinformation that is coming in the universities by Qatar. Qatar and the Islamic Republic, they share a gas field in the Persian Gulf. And basically, because Iran is under sanctions, what happens is that Qatar takes all the gas, sells it in the international market, then gives a check every year to the Islamic Republic.
Yeah.
So a lot of the disinformation actually happening in our university campuses and institutions, and even the mainstream media, them buying politicians, buying everything, influence, is actually relates back to the Islamic Republic.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. No.
Yeah,
Once Iran falls, so much changes for the world, and that's why I've been saying that Trump is really
yeah,
an usherer. It seems he's
yeah,
prepared to totally throw out the window conventional wisdoms and the status quo, and
yeah.
let's see what happens over the coming days. Frankly, over the coming hours, let's just hope that
Yeah.
the right choices are made and people continue to show bravery. And it's been inspiring to see what's happening among the people of Iran. It's really, really exciting times. And Yunus, thank you so much for all your insight. Really, really appreciate it.
Thanks. And one last thing I just wanted to say. I think last
Sure,
year it was the fact that I'm not going to make it like astrological or numerological, whatever, but like it's a
go for
philosophical
it.
argument. It's like last year was year of the snake, and when the snake sheds, it's so you get an insight. The world saw, and I'm not just talking about Iran. I'm talking about everything. Everything became clear last year. Who's who, what's what, and I think this is the year that we will usher a new era into being. And I think this is like last year was for everyone to see, and this year is the year of action. So I think you already saw it with Venezuela and now with Iran. And I think, look, these are all like connected to each other. Venezuela and Iran, they work together. There's like Hezbollah fighters in Venezuela. They sell drugs, they send them oil. So now that Venezuela is gone, then Iran is in a compromising position. And when Iran is in a compromising position, they fall, then Russia is. So the whole thing is a massive geopolitical battle being played out. And so far, I think the West is winning, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I've been saying it's important to look at things at a more cosmic level. And are you familiar with the Jewish festival of Purim?
Yes, yes.
So that's coming up in just a few weeks. And that is about a Persian tyrant called Haman that was running the Persian Empire at the time and wanted to kill all the Jews. And he was an evil leader. And he is toppled. And in the end, he meets his end. And it's coming up in literally a few weeks. I was thinking, gosh, the timing is quite
No,
poignant.
it's very interesting. And also, another thing is that it's the 47th year for the Islamic Republic. Trump is the 47th president. And funnily enough, the revolution in Iran in 1979 happened around the same time. It was like January, February. Wow. 47 years ago. So again, same timing.
Just hang on for a moment. After covering Israel for years, I've realised that most of the lies boil down to one simple tactic used by Israel's enemies from the very start: the deliberate reversal of cause and effect. And our new documentary exposes exactly how this works. Have a watch of our trailer for our new film called The Great Reversal, and you can watch it in full right now by clicking the link below in the video description. For decades, one idea has shaped how much of the world understands the Israel-Palestine conflict. Israel did something wrong, and the Palestinians simply resisted. Whether it's 1948 or the recent war in Gaza, the story is the same every time. Israel provokes, Palestinians resist. Israel oppresses, Palestinians fight back. This narrative dominates campuses, the media, and much of global politics. It feels familiar, it feels intuitive, and for many people, it feels true. But what if the sequence is backwards? What if the origin point and every major chapter that followed has been told in reverse? In the wars of 1948 and 67, in the collapse of Oslo, in the suicide bombings of the Intifada, in the rockets after Israel withdrew from Gaza, in the massacre of October 7th, and the global narrative that followed. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to expose the great lie that has reversed cause and effect, a narrative engineered to help the real aggressors erode Israel's legitimacy. We'll trace the conflict from its origins to the present day, revealing how at every stage the true sequence of events was inverted, how aggression was reframed as resistance, how defense was recast as provocation, and how a conflict rooted in hatred of Jews was deliberately twisted into a story that blames the Jews. Join us as we restore the story to the order in which it actually happened and uncover the truth hidden beneath a century of lies. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.